Today is an exciting day because today is the day that we finally start the actual manual swap for the E36. We have everything that we need and we are this close to having a manual E36. So there are a few things that we need to do. We need to prep the car. We need to have our tools ready. We have to have all the parts ready. And we're gonna start on the interior. So first we have to disconnect the battery. Don't want anything bad to happen. I personally have to take off my front bumper so that I can jack up the car because the car is kind of low. And then after that, we're gonna move on to the interior where we're pretty much gonna tear all of it apart. And I'm kind of worried about just like fucking up all of the plastic interior because the plastic is 26 years old and this isn't a race car. So I'm not like super chill with it just being a totally fucked interior. So we're gonna try our best to keep everything as like mint and clean as possible, but let's disconnect the battery and then make our way to the interior. And then once we're done with the interior, we jack up the car and we start the fun. So now we're inside the car and our main job is to take off pretty much all of the interior panels. And I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea how to do this. I watched a couple of videos and I still have no idea what I'm doing. But let's take a look at what we're checking out. So I do know that like this centerpiece needs to come off, this needs to come off, this needs to come off. Obviously this needs to come off too. And then this whole piece, this is one piece. I've seen people take off the side panel and this panel and this panel. So we kind of have a lot of work to do in here, but I do see one screw. Okay, so we're good luck. I see one screw and I'm assuming that one screw will disconnect all of this. Let's get it. So now that we're in the back of the car, there's two screws right here that you're going to want to take out and then pop your ashtray out. And it should just kind of look like this. Okay, so the good news is I was able to get this plastic trim off from right here. Bad news is I snapped two of the clips that go to it right here and here that connect right here. So unfortunately, I mean, there's a lot of clips left, so I'm not too worried about it. There is one screw in the back right here. So we got this trim off, and honestly, that took me like 10 minutes to figure out. You are definitely going to want like a trim pry tool or something like that, because honestly, unless you have a screwdriver or you risk like you don't care about this, it's not worth it. You're gonna snap this shit in half. Anyway, now that we've got that part out of the way, one of the easier steps, let's, oh God. Let's get the rest done. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so now that we've got pretty much everything that we love and enjoyed about this car taken out, the only thing that's left is this, which there's a screw right about here, another screw here. There are screws here and here. There's also a screw here and a screw here and a screw here and a screw here. So what the video recommends is getting these out. The reason you see everyone tear their entire interiors apart to get this thing out is because of these two bolts right here, which is very interesting. He recommended just breaking them off, which I'm probably going to do because, you know, we'd still have one down here because this tab is broken. So one here, two here, and two here holding it up. I mean, what are these two even doing, you know, honestly? So it's probably what we're going to do. But yeah, just taking a little look at our work. This has taken me, I don't even know what time it is, but it's probably taken me at least an hour to do. Really, like, getting it started was the hardest part, and obviously trying not to break anything. Pretty much once we got this plastic center console out, this has been really easy. Everything is disconnecting very easily. Everything pretty much pops out of place, so we're doing pretty good so far. So, without further ado, let's try and get this off, and then I believe we get to move under the car. Yeah, so these are the bolts that lie right behind this little pillar right here. As you can tell, they never intended you to ever take this shit out. So I'm honestly probably just gonna cut that. Oh, well, apparently if you use the BMW screwdriver that comes with the car, if you have that, you don't need to destroy the entire car to get this thing out. Now getting it out without it falling to the depths of hell, that's a different story. This one we're gonna cut because I'm not fucking with that shit. Exciting news, we have finally made some progress. I've spent about an hour doing what you're about to see, and it has not been fun at all, and it was really hard to like find Google references and stuff like that, because apparently you can't just continuously search up the same thing over and over expecting different results. So I had to figure out other parts, And now we are about ready to start working on the actual mechanics of this car instead of just spending literal hours taking the trim out. So let's see what we got. So you guys may recognize all of this stuff from earlier. You might also recognize that I had to take out the other half of the dash to get to getting off this piece that went right here. I had to take off this whole long piece. It also had this little plastic nut on it for some reason. I had to take the glove box out just so I could loosen up this side, which weirdly enough, the glove box is supposed to have about 6-7 screws slash bolts holding it in. Mine had 2. So it literally, like quite literally only had the 2 that go into the air vents, and the rest of them gone, missing, who knows. So I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to get these bolts out that didn't exist. So now that we've got that out, we're good. These wires I did cut because they went to, like, you guys, if you guys have an E36, you might know that it has like a little flashlight thing. Mine doesn't work. I don't plan on trying to fix it, and I just couldn't get it disconnected from the glove box, so I cut the wires. Whatever, no big deal. But circling back into here, this is what we've been trying to do for the longest time. Now, really all that's left is to disconnect this automatic area right here, and then we're gonna jack up the car. We're gonna make sure the jacks are as high as they can be, because this transmission, I googled it, right? 160 pounds. Holy shit. The new manual transmission, this guy right here, 88. So I don't know what we're missing, what we're dealing with, but that's crazy. So now that most of the car is missing, let's take a look at what we took out. And now this right here is pretty much everything excluding maybe the small buttons and the cup holders and any small thing like that. These are the actual pieces that we had to take out. This is obviously the main trim. This is where the e-brake goes. This section right here is where that went. Obviously the armrest goes back there. All of this stuff, once you get this out, the rest of this is pretty easy. This is what I was struggling on the most. And then once I realized that if you just loosen the bolts underneath the steering wheel and then go over to the glove box and disconnect that, which, as you guys might know, there are these 2 small screws in the air vents themselves that you have to disconnect, because apparently a lot of people snap them because they don't disconnect those 2 bolts. And so, well, boom, that's broken, but mine is safe and fine. This thing also, disconnect this, and when it's up in the glove box like that, there's a 10mm bolt right above it. Disconnect that. Mine obviously didn't have that, but that is the last point to getting the glove box out. And really, looking at it like this, it looks like a lot, but also most of these pieces just go into each other. That goes into there, that connects back. I mean, pretty much this half all revolve around that. And then these 2 things, whatever, who cares? But now we have the battery disconnected. We're gonna work on jacking up the car and getting 4 jacks under the car and make sure we're gonna be safe and sound, because now we're gonna start taking apart the car, hopefully, unless, you know the usual, run into other issues. But this is very exciting because this took so long, and a lot of people on the internet say, oh, you can do the job in 10 hours. Maybe you can. This took me about 2 to get all the trim out, but also I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know I had to disconnect other parts to lead to other parts. And once I figured that out, I couldn't figure out how to disconnect those parts either. But we're good. And the car is soon to be a manual. We're almost done with day 1. My goal for the rest of this video is to get the car up, disconnect the drive shaft, disconnect the automatic cooler and the lines. And if I can, I would love to get the automatic transmission out. Now, will that be possible? I hope so. Like I said, the automatic transmission weighs 160 pounds, and the new one, the manual, weighs about 88, 90 pounds. So kind of a big difference. So I'm gonna use my jack to hopefully kind of level it out so I can pull it off, unbolt it. Hopefully I have everything I need to even unbolt it, which, if you guys aren't aware, you need like 3 feet of extensions to get the top 2 bolts on top of the transmission. So hopefully everything goes well, but you never know. Anyway, guys, we're gonna jack up the car. We're gonna start working, and hopefully by the end of this video, we will have the automatic transmission out, and if we're lucky, a new rear main seal. So let's get to work. I also did forget to mention that you are going to want to take out the automatic shifter, because this is garbage now. We will not need this, because we're gonna have one of them little fucking whip, beep, beep, whip, 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 whip. You know how it is. And here it is, everybody. We have officially broke through. Look at that. You can see the automatic Guivo, the actual transmission itself. Oh my gosh. We're pretty fucking close. So with that out of the way, this thing needs to go too, but if you guys can see that it is actually this cable right in the middle of the screen is kind of wiggling a little bit. So I believe I need to probably jack up the car, disconnect that from under the car, and then this will just pull through. But aside from that, getting that out was like 3 bolts and a couple of clips. It is now much later in the night. We didn't make a lot of progress once we stopped from that last clip, but I did want to come on and do a quick little bit of fixes, and I wanted to let you guys know something. If you guys remember this piece from earlier, you'll remember that I said I was going to cut it. This is that piece with that hidden bolt right behind that piece of metal. I did find out that once you get pretty much every other bolt undone and you pull this back, if you pull it far enough, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't risk it because you might snap it, but you can pull it far enough and start unscrewing it. I use the BMW screwdriver, and also by using this and kind of pulling this with it, kind of both of them together, it did allow me to unscrew the bolt, so I didn't have to cut it. As you can see, I did try, and I actually didn't make a lot of progress, so it kind of worked out in the end. But here shortly, I am going to call it a night and start again in the morning. So my main goal right now, car is fully jacked up. Everything is pretty much ready to go, front bumpers off. I do have a new oil leak, which is interesting. There's a lot of oil that was not on the floor that is now on the floor. We are going to take off the exhaust. We're going to take off the heat shield, and that's pretty much it. That'll give us access to the drive shaft, the transmission, and everything else ready for tomorrow morning. So let's get that started. Well, good news, everybody. We just got the exhaust off without pretty much any hitch. It came off pretty well. And cool news, the X brakes that I installed a while ago, it kind of, when I disconnected the exhaust from the headers, the header or the top of the exhaust dropped onto the X brakes instead of slamming into the floor. So the X brakes acted as a nice little hand so I could do the rest of the job without it being a huge weight on everything else. I got the O2 sensors out, and really I just have this ugly brick under my car. And here it is. It is quite literally just a long, ugly, there's my cats and there's everything else. There's all the pretty shiny stuff and the start of the shiny stuff over there. But everything went pretty well, and then all that's left is to get the heat shield out, and then we start on the fun stuff. But that is it for tonight. I am going to do all of that tomorrow. The exhaust is heavy and I'm tired, but tomorrow we get the heat shield off, we disconnect the drive shaft, we maybe start on the transmission, but we might wait. I know that there's a transmission cooler at the front of the car. I believe it's in front of the radiator. And then, well, I guess once we do that, it'll leak some oil. And so with all that set to be done tomorrow, we're gonna hit the hay, and then we're gonna start on this bright and early in the morning. We're pretty close. I mean, honestly, looking at everything on the ground, this stuff, it looks like a mess. It really does. It looks like a giant mess. But this is everything I need to make the car a manual, and this is everything I've already taken out. So honestly, I have more parts taken out than what I need to put back in, and not including the interior. Fuck that shit. But the car is healthy so far. I have noticed that there is a new oil leak. We'll diagnose that later. But I think I know exactly what it is. I think I just forgot to tighten something when I did the new steering rack. So, like I've been saying, let's go to bed. Let's start bright and early in the morning, and let's get this car like that much closer. See ya. So you guys would never guess this, but we did not start bright and early in the morning. It is about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning the next day. So it's been about 24 hours since that last clip, but we did get some work done. I am very excited to say that the exhaust is out, the heat shield is out, and the drive shaft is now out. So really all that's left is the transmission, all the small stuff that connects into the transmission, and that shifter on the interior, that little, what you, like when you shift gears, the little connecting rod there, that's left. And then we're pretty much homeward bound. I mean, honestly, this is coming along. For everything being done by just me and the internet, I'm pretty impressed with how smooth everything is going. I think I'm about 7 hours into the project so far. I mean, if we're counting specific time, it took about 4 hours for me to take all of the interior out. That was a huge pain in the ass. I didn't want to break anything. But if you don't care about the interior, it would probably take you 20 minutes to snap everything off. Next, getting the exhaust off was a piece of cake. Probably took about an hour, which doesn't sound like a piece of cake, but I had to take off all of my exhaust that I put on previously, and those are all separate parts, so just a little bit of annoying work. Getting the heat shield off, literally all the bolts came off. Getting the drive shaft off, however, it was a little stuck. As you expect for a part that's quite literally been on the car for 26 years, at where the drive shaft connects to the guibo, which connects to the transmission,
and it really did not want to come out. So what I had to do was I had to unbolt everything, grab the shaft, and just start yanking on it really, really hard. And then eventually, boom, it gave out and we made progress. So everything is out except for the transmission. I lost my 18mm wrench, which is exactly what I need to finish getting the connecting part out for the old automatic shifter. So that's great. It also, the drive shaft bolts were in 18. So I had to improvise with the crescent wrench. So that was a bitch, but it did work a lot better than I thought it would. So all I can say now is, with a couple more hours down, we're about 7 hours in. I am disgusting, like always, pretty much. But we've made a lot of progress. Now I would like to say, tomorrow, we're gonna get the transmission out. But who really knows at this point? All I know is that we are much further than we should have been. If you guys were unaware, none of these parts, the whole clutch, everything back there was not supposed to come until the end of February, according to Tuner Motorsports. Well, guess what? It came right before the end of December. So that's a big jump. That's about a 3-month jump that we have to finish the car, because if you guys didn't know, again, my whole goal is to get this car manual swapped by Texas 2K. I had so much fun at the event last year, and I really would love to bring my own car. And although, you know, a little kind of hunk of junk, I love this thing though. If I didn't, I would not be putting literal hours into fixing every small thing. I've got to have over 60 plus hours into working on this car alone. So, you know, if I didn't care about this car, I wouldn't put all this work into it. But I want to get this car manual swapped for Texas 2K, just to have something, you know, have my own car there. I think it'd be cool. Again, at Texas 2K, you're gonna see GTRs, you're gonna see Lamborghinis, you're gonna see Ferraris and NSX Acuras, I think that's what they're called. But an E36, I'm not gonna lie, last year, out of the entire sea of Lamborghinis and Nissan GTRs, I saw one dude driving this E36. Now, I'm a fan of the E36, so I'm a little biased, but I thought that was pretty cool, and unfortunately he drove away, so I couldn't get to talk to him. But hopefully this year, I will be that cool guy with the E36 that people are gonna want to talk to, because really, guys, I just want more friends. Anyway, guys, my arm is getting tired from doing all this shit from under the car, because unfortunately I don't have the luxury of a lift, but maybe someday that'll change. Anyway, guys, hopefully tomorrow we're gonna get the automatic transmission out. Once we get that out, we're gonna replace the rear main seal, and that might be it for this video. And then the next video is obviously the big one, where we finally manual swap this car, and hopefully, if everything goes right, we have a manual E36. I'm so excited, guys. Let's cut to tomorrow, where hopefully I make some more progress. If not, it's gonna be a minute till the next time I have time. So, let's get it. Peace.
Welcome back, everybody. It is a few days after that last clip once again, but today we're here to finally end this video and make some more progress. Right now, we're going to remove the oil cooler lines to the automatic transmission, disconnect the plugins for the automatic transmission, disconnect the torque converter for the automatic transmission, and then we are going to take out the automatic transmission and finally have that 160-pound beast out of this car. So let's get to it, because this video has gone on way too long already, and plus I've spent 7-ish hours so far, so if I can get it done in 1 to 2 more, that's not too bad. Then, in the next video, we're gonna have fun putting all the cool stuff onto the car, and then hopefully, if we're lucky, getting our first test drive. So, let's get everything undone, and hopefully, if we're lucky, getting this automatic transmission out. So, let's get to it. Peace. Okay, so if you guys saw, I just disconnected these 2 bolts right here. That actually leads to the automatic oil cooler, which if we go under the car, this bitch right here, this is all this is. So I'm going to disconnect these 2 lines right here, and I totally expect a bunch of oil to come out of here. So as you guys can see, these lines right here are the ones that we just disconnected. As you can see them, it doesn't help that I'm wiggling too, but you can see that they are the lines that are connected, and as you can see, they run all the way up here into the top of the transmission. So we're gonna have to figure out how to disconnect these bad boys. Okay, so update. So I've been trying to get this pipe, which is all routed, all retarded, like out from under this car for a good minute now. It's been probably, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes. So I'm unable to get it out, and yes, you see the X brace. I did loosen the X brace. Obviously if I took it off, I could get this off, yes. But then the next question remains, there's another one. So I'm gonna make a trip to everyone's favorite local store, and let's get some bolt cutters, because I'm not gonna use this shit ever again. Did it, everyone. We made it to everyone's favorite store, Walmart. Now we are on the hunt for some bolt cutters. Well, everyone, we do have great news. We found the last pair that they had. So for $13, I'm gonna be able to break into some people's houses and make my money back. Hooray! One down, one to go. Oh yeah, we did it. I have some exciting news. Your boy was able to get the torque converter bolts out by himself. I know, hard to believe. Those things were a pain in the fucking ass. And honestly, if you have someone else who can help you, it will save you so much pain. Like, my hand's a little red because I kept smashing it against the fucking X brace that I decided to put on because I don't know why. Anyway, these are the tools that I use. So to hold onto the main pulley, which is located right there, that bitch right there, is a 22 wrench. And to get the actual torque converter bolts off, I used a deep 17. I'm sure a 17 with an extension will work just fine. I mean, honestly, I didn't use these to get the bolts out. I just used this to break the bolts free. And really the only reason I tried to get them out myself was because I just had a little bit of motivation. I just wanted to. So my hand's a little beat up, so I am going to go to bed now. But the exciting news is that means that literally all that is left is the transmission. There's one plug that's on the side of the transmission that we'll get to, and there's one on top that I can reach from the inside of the car. But that's just, so all that's left really is the transmission. I'm so excited to have this thing out. It's such a bitch. But I'm more excited to put all the new stuff in, lighter trans, less stuff. I didn't realize how much garbage was gonna come out with the automatic trans. So not only am I saving about 80 pounds from switching to the manual transmission, I might save an extra 5-ish pounds from all the random shit that I've taken off. So we are now going to go to bed, and hopefully, I'll let you guys know in the next clip, but hopefully tomorrow we get this transmission out. Okay, good night everybody. I'll see you in the morning. Peace, for the 5th time. And we are back, everybody. It is about 5 o'clock in the morning, about 4 days later. I had to buy some new tools because your boy just wasn't strong enough. So we have made some progress on the automatic transmission removal. So let's talk about it. So I had to go to the store, and I did have to buy a breaker bar because these things are on hella tight, and my thought was, well, I have a big boy impact. We'll just impact them. Well, that didn't actually work. And I also snapped my swivel socket into pieces. So that wasn't awesome. But we did get a new impact rated set, which was the issue. I was using a non-impact socket for impact things. Happens. But I've recently found the motivation to start working again. I just took a couple days off because I wasn't making any progress. But the breaker bar, I bought a 1/2-inch, 18-inch long breaker bar from Amazon. And this thing is a literal godsend. First off, amazing. Haven't had a single issue with it yet. Second off, I just used an adapter from 1/2 to 3/8 inch, and it has helped me take off every E14 that this car has. So we're quite literally to the point where I'm gonna take off the last couple of bolts that are already broken. So we lower the transmission and we see what happens. So hopefully I don't either drop it and crack my floor, drop it, and drop it. Yeah, hopefully we just don't drop it. But if all is said and done and everything goes well, we have well, we don't have a car that runs, but we have a car that doesn't have a transmission in it. Did I mention the transmission is 160 pounds? Yeah, let's see what we can do. It's about 5 o'clock in the morning. I think I mentioned that earlier. So let's get to hopefully removing the transmission and not killing ourselves or breaking anything, except for the transmission, which we don't care about. So we have taken out the final bolt, and here is everything that we have so far. So I have 3 E10s, I have 1 E12, and I have 3 E14s. Now there should be 4. Here's my concern, right? So I have an E14. it's still in the area of the transmission. It's not actually connected because when I try and twist it off, I can't reach it with my hands, but it's just floating in there. So I think it's not connected, so we're gonna hope that it's not, because if it is, well, I might either break it or the transmission's definitely not coming out. My other concern is that someone said that there's supposed to be 2 E12s connected to the starter, but I literally cannot find another one. So I spent like 30 minutes trying to just prep up the falling firewall protector thing, and literally I see no other bolts. So I mean, you know, if the transmission doesn't come out, well, telltale sign that something's still connected. But if anything, that's literally the last bolt. So I'm gonna take off the rear subframe brace for the transmission, which I just reconnected it so that it gave a little bit of stability to the transmission, because again, I'm doing this all by myself, so I don't really wanna die. Anyway, we're going to pull the transmission out, I guess. So hopefully it all works out, and hopefully my car is tall enough to pull the transmission out, because that'd be hella awkward if I went through all this work for the last week and I can't get the transmission out from under my car. So I'm stressing. Let's get to it. Good morning, beautiful people. Now you might be like, Darcy, you're wearing a completely different fit to what you were wearing like 10 seconds ago. Would you believe me if I spent about 2-3 hours trying to get that transmission out? Didn't budge. Would you also believe me if I said it's about 2 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday night? So I don't even know when the fuck the last clip was, a few days later, and I just got it out. There was 1 bolt left. Would you believe it took me 3 hours to get that bolt out? Maybe. Well, that's what happened. I had to completely tear out the insulation surrounding the trans tunnel because, one, it was droopier than some old grandma titties, right? And nobody likes that, except me. But this time I didn't like it because it was in my way, and usually they're in a perfect spot. Anyway, I had to remove those. I had to remove that. I probably have inhaled enough insulation to build my own home. So, not good. You should definitely wear a mask if you were to do that, or if you don't have anything else better to do, really. But I have unhooked the final bolt just now, 3 hours later. Anyway, so the next clip is going to be me actually removing the transmission and finally being done with this automatic, because I'm gonna kill myself. That's pretty much the only chance I have at feeling any better about myself right now. Anyway, the next clip is just for insurance in case I hurt myself. So I love you guys, and let's actually let's get this transmission up. Okay guys, so we're here trying to make sure all of my tools are out of the way, because that could really hinder progress. Honestly, I'm pretty scared right now, if I'm being completely honest. The automatic transmission, like I believe I mentioned earlier in the video, weighs about 160 pounds. Yep, there's some more sugar. Which is honestly pretty fucking heavy. So I got the board in the middle-ish. God, I hope this goes well. If not, it's gonna be a totally different video. But I'm gonna try and pull it. Fuck, I hope I have. It's gonna be real fucking funny if the car's not tall enough, because it's as tall as the jacks go. Oh god, I'm fucking scared, dude. So I'm gonna jack it up first. Oh dude, the transmission's fucking. Oh! Okay. Yeah, I have a feeling the torque converter is just gonna fall. That's okay. Not looking needed. Oh yeah. Oh, it's off. Nice. We did it. Holy shit. This big bitch is out. Oh my god. Wow. Honestly, Never thought that shit was ever gonna happen, dude. I feel a sense of accomplishment that I look like shit for, but I didn't think I was honestly going to get it. With that last bolt taking me literally 3 hours to get out. I don't even, I'm like nauseous. I'm like, probably inhaled way too much insulation, but I feel fucking great. Like I'm exhausted. I think that's why I'm still working, is I'm so tired that I don't see a point in going to bed. I don't know. I have work in the morning, but all I know is that the automatic transmission is out and we can now finally start doing the manual swap. It's taken about a full week to get this out. I mean, obviously not a full week, you know, hours here and there, but the internet said it was a 10-hour swap, said and done. I'm gonna say, I think I'm at 12 hours to get it out by myself. So, we're halfway there. So if we think about it, only a full day's worth of work, but like a literal full day, like not like 8 hours. So I'm gonna let the transmission leak all of its fluid out because I don't need that shit. And we're done. We are calling it quits for this video. Thank you guys for sticking through to the end. I know I probably have no energy, except that I have no energy and I'm fucking tired, but we did it. After about 12 hours of work, covering myself in shit and insulation, we did it. We can finally start installing all the cool shit. I'm so excited. I love you guys. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you liked it, like always, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.